disgusting.
That's why I asked.
Who's driving? It's over 9. What?
Crap car.
Use the boots to get it.
No.
Huh? What the f?
Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I am your online voice for reviews of your choice, and this is BS Reviews. Today, we take a look at the latest film from my favorite director of all time, Tim Burton, as he brings us a live 3D CGI animation and live action representation of one of the most infamous books of all time, as well as one of the most famous Disney animated films of all time, Lewis Carroll's epic story, Alice in Wonderland. Now, since I mentioned Lewis Carroll, I'd like to point out I've never actually read the books. I don't really have any interest to either. I'm more of a watcher than a reader. That doesn't mean I don't read. I'm just saying that for this review's sake. Supposedly, this film is much more accurate to the books. I can't really verify that since I said I haven't read them. I've been looking forward to this film for a long time because I'm always a big fan of Tim Burton. I love his stuff. I love Johnny Depp. Alice in Wonderland is brought to you by Walt Disney Studios and was directed by my main man, Tim Burton. It was written by Linda Wolverton, the screenplay that was based off the books by Lewis Carroll. It stars Mia Wasikowska as Alice, Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter, Helena Bonham Carter as the Red Queen, Anne Hathaway as the White Queen, Crispin Glover as Stain, the Knave of Hearts, Matt Lucas as Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Stephen Fry as the Cheshire Cat, Michael Sheen as the White Rabbit, and Alan Rickman as the Blue Caterpillar. The plot of Alice in Wonderland. Alice is now 19 years old, and she's now returning to the magical Wonderland that she remembered from her childhood. Well, remembered is kind of hard to say, since she barely remembers if she actually went there or if it was all just a dream. She goes there when she is forced to be put into a marriage to a man she does not love, and everyone is expecting her to marry this guy. And I mean everyone. Every family, friend, and caterer there wants her to marry this guy. Unable to commit, she leaves him standing at the altar and follows the White Rabbit from her dreams into the rabbit hole once more when she returns to Wonderland. She finds out the Red Queen and the White Queen who are warring over control of Wonderland. There is a prophecy that is read to her by her old friends, the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, the White Rabbit, and the Caterpillar, who say that supposedly Alice will return to Wonderland in order to slay the Red Queen's infamous monster, the Jabberwocky. Alice is unsure if she can accomplish this and must use the help of her bizarre friends to try and save Wonderland and return home, as well as fulfilling a destiny she refuses to accept. Review of the plot. I really like the fact that this takes place with a much older Alice and is not an automatic retake, relaunch of the original Alice in Wonderland story. I think having her being much older makes this film much more unique than people just expecting to see another, remake. You're taking a new approach here on an old story, which is, in my opinion, a very smart move. I was really impressed at how they managed to squeeze so many good story elements and emotional development in the very beginning of the film, and in the before Wonderland, because it's really impressive that they throw all these deep problems at Alice. I mean, she's got so much stuff going on with this wedding, these people who want her to do, and it's really amazing that they can put so many effective emotional scenes in just this one little intro, so to speak. Those of you who want to see it in 3D, it's not that big of a deal since the whole movie doesn't really make good use of 3D like Avatar did. There are some scenes like where they're throwing teacups in it where it looks really good and really effective, but it doesn't utilize it as properly as Avatar did. So for those of you who want to see in 3D, I suggest maybe save your money because this movie visually just looks great even without the 3D. I love the fact that all the characters were unsure of whether or not Alice was Alice or not. It showed some interesting, interactions with the characters, and their reactions to Alice were just very complexing and confusing, and this whole story is pretty friggin' confusing. Tim Burton really knows how to get the best out of his actors, and I think he really did a good job here making these little characters, voicing them and making them just look so distinguishably unique. And it's really impressive how that all plays out. I was also really impressed to hear more about this Jabberwocky because I don't recall if it's in the animated film from Disney. It was very impressive and cool to see on film, and I have to say it was a very nice story point that made this once, fantasy, family-friendly, fun, fantastical movie into a much more compelling film. Review the characters. I don't really know who the hell Mia Wasikowska is. I've never heard of her before, never seen of her before, but after seeing her in this movie, I'm quite impressed. She just really fit the bill nicely. She's beautiful in appearance, and she fits the character perfectly. I mean, in the dress and everything. And she just really did a good job conveying this sense of confusion and misunderstanding with all these characters, and I really like that. I think she just, like, fit right into it. Many people have bitched about Johnny Depp working with Tim Burton for so many times. They've done, like, 10 or 11 films together. I don't really care because, one, I love Johnny Depp. Two, I love Tim Burton. And three, I know that Tim Burton wouldn't bother putting an actor in a film unless he was sure that actor could pull it off. And Johnny Depp does it flawlessly. He is, in my opinion, one of the best actors ever. I mean, it's amazing his transformation into the Mad Hatter. You really can't see him in there at all. With all the makeup and the weird voice he does, I mean, it's amazing. He creates so many iconic characters like Sweeney Todd, Willy Wonka, Jack Sparrow. He just does it so well. He disappears so beautifully into this character. It makes him, a one-dimensional character, seem far more interesting and compelling. Helena Bonham Carter, again, another Tim Burton reoccurring actor. It's his wife also. She did a really good job as Red Queen here, even better than the Disney version, because she gave her much more of a personality, and she seemed much more mean-spirited with a purpose, whereas opposed to Disney one, who was just raging for no reason. She would just go, oh, what's this head, just for no reason. I mean, it was just almost like absurd to the point. Anne Hathaway was really interesting as the White Queen. You don't know much about her because, like I said, I don't know if this is more accurate to the books or not. They say it is, but just from what I saw of her, she looked very interesting to someone. She did some really just amusing things with her hands and that. It was just kind of funny and interesting. The visuals with the characters were very beautiful. Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I don't really care for how they looked. I think they look kind of stupid, personally. But it's an interesting take on them. The White Rabbit was interesting. The Blue Caterpillar was very good as Alan Rickman. That was a very charming and amusing little role there. The March Hare looks great. He just looks like a total nutball, and I think he really amped up the humor level. Best scene, in my opinion, in the film is when they first meet the Mad Hatter and the March Hare at the table. It's just hilarious to see how they interact and how weird and wonky that they are. It's just a great sense of authentic nuttiness. I love Stephen Fry. He's very good. I've enjoyed him in V for Vendetta, and I loved him as a Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat has always been my favorite character, personally. I was really freaking shocked to see Crispin Glover here. I'm like, what the hell is he doing in here? But he did a really good job. He came off very imposing, very creepy and weird, and I really liked him in this film. He gave a really good performance as this bizarre character. Review of the cinematography and the music. Music is always good. I mean, always. I mean, you got friggin' Danny Elfman. How can you go wrong? At least I think this is Danny Elfman. I could be wrong. But it was beautiful music either way. And it just sounded so gorgeous. So good. Always good, typical, good Tim Burton shit. Visuals, what can I say? They're mind-blowing. This movie has so many amazing things that are coming at you visually, with or without the 3D. It just looks fantastic. The Cheshire Cat, the characters, they look so computer and yet so realistic at the same time. It's amazing how perfectly you can blend these actors with these characters and make them look real. I mean, this is like the most realistic CGI I've seen, even more real than Avatar. And I was just really impressed at how amazing it all looked, when it came together. Flaws about the film. As much as I really do love Tim Burton's work, and I love Johnny Depp, the problem is that this film really doesn't make that much sense. And I know that's the point, but there's a thing called cohesiveness, okay? And to put it bluntly, this movie doesn't really have it. Cohesiveness is the ability to function all together, and this movie kind of falls apart when it tries to do that. There are times when you don't know what the hell the actors or characters are saying. I don't know if that's part of the book or just supposed to be funny. They just throw things in there randomly, just kind of quickly, and you're just expected to automatically connect with the emotion of the scene just right off the bat. And as much as I really wanted to love this movie more, this movie just lacked the spark that has been in other Tim Burton films. His emotional flair and creativity. Here, it's kind of generic. It's kind of simple. It doesn't have a strong enough heart. And it's a shame because everything looks fantastic, but you got cryptic things in the film that don't make sense, that are tried to be played off as cute or touching. And in the end, it just kind of comes off as silly and, unfortunately, not very effective. Final wrap-up, Alice in Wonderland is definitely a visually orgasmic film that definitely brings the story beautifully to life in all possible ways. It looks great. It sounds gorgeous. You got some excellent acting from Mia Wasikowska, Helena Bonham Carter. Johnny Depp is flawless as the Mad Hatter. The characters look great, and Tim Burton really has some top-notch quality actors in here. Unfortunately, it lacks the heart, the spark, the energy, whatever you want to call it, that he's had in his past films. And this ultimately leaves this film not quite as imaginative on the inside as it is on the outside. Bottom line, I give Alice in Wonderland 3 stars out of 5 stars. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye for now.